What a head, son! What a head! Pushing header. But Gerrard!
Oh,
you beauty! What a head, son! What a head! Pushing header. But Gerrard!
Oh,
you beauty! What a head, son! What a head!
Travis.
I tried to tell you before the game when you was making your prediction, didn't I? I don't know, mate. I try and help you, man. I can only go so far with the advice, brother.
That was an absolute slapping.
Yeah.
All them olays at the end, like they were mugging us off. But it was long before then. I'm surprised it was only 4-1, to be honest. Let's have it right. That was
that feeling,
slapping.
Yeah. That feeling was how I felt when you dashed us 7-0. That it was exactly the same feeling. It was just pure pain from start to finish.
Oh dear. This is footy, eh?
That was a tough one, mate. That was a tough one to take.
Straight in, 5 people watching to feel our pain. I've got a couple of people saying they're going to join today. I don't know if they will or not, but I'm going to keep my eye on that box down below. But
okay,
it started well.
Yeah, in terms of the goal,
up. Yeah, could have went 2-0 up, and then City just done what City do. They just took over. I've been putting comments in on the stream as I go. You'll see Scott Nicol. I put at halftime, Grealish, best game I've seen from him ever, probably. That's the first time I've ever watched Grealish and thought, I'm impressed. I'm blown away.
Yeah.
And then he got man of the match at the end of the game.
Yeah, he was unbelievable and unplayable today. Like, I don't think you can necessarily pin that on Trent Alexander-Arnold, which we'll go into in the analysis, but because of the positions he took up. But I think it's just going to be easy for Liverpool fans to say like Trent's finished because of how well Grealish played. But he popped up everywhere. Like he was just. I think the system caused you a lot of problems as well. I think it really did. I don't think you coped with the positions of sort of Grealish, Gundogan, and De Bruyne, and the rotation and the fluidity that Pep allowed them to have. I just don't think in particular your midfield was able to cope with that at all. I just think there weren't necessarily enough legs in there, but you just didn't have enough bodies in there as well. Like you were sat in this block, but the block just had so many gaps. It was just like there was just no point being how you were because you weren't a compact block at all. I think you had players there, but you weren't compact at all. You were sort of caught between do we press, do we not? And the movement just picked you apart all afternoon. So yeah.
Yeah, it ended up like men against boys. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get on to Trent Arnold, but I've just recycled my Trent Arnold TikTok into my Liverpool group chat. They said, I think Trent Arnold's time is up. So I sent him a TikTok from about 2 weeks when I said, is it time that he was just moved on? But not moved on as he's a total dead cat, but you know, he might still be courted by some European sides who are at the pinnacle of their game. Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, who want a marauding right wing back, and he would be right up their street, and he would still have a big value in terms of a saleable asset. So I just regurgitated it. Maybe it is time. Dalaval, how you doing? You okay? Are you working?
Yep. Thanks for having me on the channel just before.
You're welcome, mate.
You're welcome.
I wish it was for a better result, mate. Honestly, it was. We've just witnessed an absolute slapping. I think you'll agree.
I mean, I knew we'd lose, but not that much, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I actually had hope. One, it was a half time. It was 1-1. I actually thought we could do something. And then once it was 2-1, I thought it was over. I thought we would just lose the mentality of giving. But yeah, I think a lot of discussion needs to happen, uncomfortable discussions, which I don't want to say, but it's a lot. Like, there's Trenty moved on. There's Robertson because his attacking has dropped off recently. But I think Robertson's a good left back defensively. We don't really have I think we'll keep him. But yeah, I mean.
Yeah, Trav had some words about Robertson at halftime, certainly for their first goal. He didn't have the best day at the office, but who did? Let's be honest. Gakpo looked off it. His touch was off. It was a big disappointment. Nunes not starting. There was a point where I think it might have been Robertson escaped down the left-hand side in real good space. And Man City
the
got in
second
good
half,
space. Yeah, the second half. Do you remember it? Man
Yeah, I
City
can
got in
remember.
good space down the right, and they got 2 goals from it. Robertson got down the left, and I was saying, just peel off Ake, go front post Salah, and you'll get a goal like Man City. And he didn't. He just jogged
he
behind
just-
Ake, and Ake just sweeped it up. And I thought, the belief is gone, the desire's gone. Like, as Dalaval just said, as soon as it went 2-1, we were a shell of ourselves. All the momentum was gone, all the hope was gone, and that is something that Jurgen Klopp is seriously going to have to look at and fix.
I mean,
how does he fix it?
I mean, a massive sum is needed, right? But if we don't get Champions League, I'm really worried about the money. Like,
yeah,
I still think we'll get Jude, but I don't know if we have the money to it for him, because it's like our owners, right? They're not going to give Klopp the money if we don't get Europa League, if we get Europa League football, and doesn't help. And for me, the Chelsea and Arsenal are massive. We need to win both. We need to win both. If we have any chance of getting top 4, we need to win both.
See, the Chelsea game is even bigger now, isn't it, Dalaval?
I think we have the capability of doing it, but it depends if the player wants to do it. And I'm not sure if they want to do that. But look, what doesn't help is it's at the Bridge on an evening kickoff, and that does. And I know it's gonna be rocking. It's gonna be rocking at evening kickoff. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal fans, I don't want us to win. We didn't deliver for the Arsenal fans, but we tried our best. We tried our best for the Arsenal fans, but I had no expectation going into this game. But it's just the result, how bad we lost. It wasn't the fact that we lost. It was just the scoreline. 4-1. I thought it would be 3-1 or something. Like, keep it 3-1 at least. 3-1's all right to lose to Man City, a good team, world-class team. But I think we need to give praise to Man City more as well, because no Haaland, but Alvarez. What a player Alvarez is, though, man. I never doubted them before. Even if Haaland was out, I never doubted City, because Alvarez, what a player he is. And I felt KDB, we always discuss him. What a player, man, he is.
Considering he's been on the bench the last couple of games. I mentioned it in Thursday night stream. I think he's been on the bench 5 of the last 10 games, something ridiculous. I don't know if he's carrying a knock or not, but my God, he was back today. And then Dan's in the comments. Kevin De Bruyne, he reminded me of N'Golo Kante. N'Golo Kante will be out injured for 3 years. He'll come back, smash Liverpool, man of the match performance, and then he'll go and be injured for another 3 years. De Bruyne comes back. He was absolutely masterful. He was probably just behind Grealish for man of the match. Listen, we've got 10 people in the comments. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Even if it's just to listen to my misery, Dalaval's misery, and Trav's delight for this Liverpool slapping. Dan says, feel like Klopp was making subs with Tuesday in mind, but strange taking Salah off. Yeah, absolutely.
So. You know what? It was one of those Salah ones where I could understand because he was poor.
Yeah, it was done by then. But when you put an Oxlade-Chamberlain on the pitch, I thought, oh my God, Milner, Oxlade-Chamberlain.
You know, a lot of fans wanted Diaz back, but I don't want to rush him. But there's no point rushing him back.
No, absolutely not.
Like,
I agree.
Not in a game of that magnitude.
Happened, right? He was meant to be back like January, February, but then we rushed him back. I think we learned our lesson. Don't rush him back. And I think hopefully he's on the bench versus Arsenal. I don't see him playing versus Chelsea. I think that's too soon. At least I want to see him on the bench versus Arsenal, depending on his fitness, at least. And let's see. I mean, like I said, if we don't want to play him the whole season, I don't mind, because it's just he's coming back to that stage where we need to win every game for pretty much now, because I don't see Newcastle dropping off, especially if they beat United on the weekend, the Sunday. I feel like top 4's gone, because if we don't beat Chelsea, we need to beat Chelsea. If we don't beat Chelsea, top 4's off. That game's massive.
Dan says at 3-1, if you get one back, the game changes completely, but there was no real positive change. Dan, I've sent you the StreamYard link. Are you coming in? Let me know. Let's get you on this, and we'll have one eye on Tuesday night against Chelsea. But yeah, as Dalaval just said, and I agreed, the game was gone by then. I felt like the game was gone at 2-1. The belief was gone. We had that kind of defeatist mentality. 12:30 kickoff. The rotten run continues. That's 6 12:30 games, 5 defeats, 1 draw. We just do not like this Saturday 12:30 game. But Trav, what can Klopp do? Like we just mentioned about the mentality and the dressing room, it just must be rock bottom. But we threw the towel in there.
Right now, we needed a midfield in the summer. And what do? We didn't buy one. So I thought there'll be a drop off, not this bad. I didn't think we this bad. I thought it'd be like 4th or 5th. We're like,
it shouldn't be this bad.
Yeah,
This is the point I'm alluding to, Dalival, and I think you're exactly right. I think the worrying thing was, if you look at that game towards the latter stages, when Milner came on, he was the only one that was trying to impact and trying to press and trying to get in Manchester City's faces. Now, I know it's difficult. They're the best possession side in the league. You can press all you want and you still might not get near them. But I think from the Liverpool fans' perspective, they want to see people running. They want to see some effort. The Liverpool sort of credentials and characteristics, what they're sort of based off, is the pressing, the running, the intensity. And I don't think we saw that at any stage in the game. Like the goal, let's be honest, the Salah goal came out of nowhere. It was a great timing of the run from Jota, and it's an unbelievable finish. I'm not taking anything away from Salah. It's come to him. He's not really thought about it, and he's put it straight in the top corner. It's an unbelievable goal. And going in at half time, no matter how dominant the opposition are, it gives you something to fight for at one each. But then all that work is just undone seconds into the second half. And like, Klopp must be just kicking himself, because at the end of the day, like I've mentioned about Klopp, and he's the one that's meant to galvanize and inspire these players. But as well, the players have got to take just as much responsibility. There's nothing stopping these players from running. There's nothing stopping the majority of these players doing what James Milner did when he came on. It doesn't matter how old. Yeah, go on, mate.
I don't even think Klopp can motivate them anymore. Like, what can you say to them? Oh, can you fight? They're probably not going to fight. And this is a game we usually turn up in. We usually turn up in the big games. Well, that's what we usually do. I don't think we turned up today. It was just one of those goals that just come out of literally nowhere. But it was a good play. The counter, I saw what we were doing in that first half. We were trying to counter attack, and it didn't work. And then you felt, but Man City, they just were calm. When it was 1-0, they still were the better side. And
well, this is why Pep's such an unbelievable manager, because everyone talks about the money that they spend. But if you look at United, we've spent the same amount of money. We can't get performances out of players that are on big wages, big money, cost big transfer fees, week in, week out. That's what Pep Guardiola does. No matter what sort of budget he gets, no matter who comes in and out the door, you more or less see that level for 99% of the season. And that's down to him, and he demands that.
At the same time, though, Trav, if one of these players are not giving him what he needs, he shifts them on, doesn't he? Whereas maybe Man United have held on to too many for too long, like you've alluded to loads of times on the poddy the last 6 months. But as soon as Pep's not getting what he wants for his Man City side, they're gone. I mean, look at Cancelo and Gabriel Jesus, top quality striker. He's just strengthened Arsenal. He'll get rid. But Isaac Shaw's just joined us. He's like a regular now. How you doing, Isaac? Southampton fan, big Southampton fan. He says Liverpool have had a rough season, but people think this is the last season and Klopp is finished. You are so naive. Klopp is world class. He needs a good summer. Who knows next season? Couldn't agree more, Isaac. Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, they need to retool, as I keep calling it. They need a reinvestment. They need to replenish the squad. They need to galvanize the squad, and it's going to take money. They might try to be cute in the transfer market with one or few shocks out. Could be Jota, could be one of Salah and Diaz even. I keep mentioning it, but Klopp is far from finished.
Do you think the rebuild's bigger than what you first thought it was? Because a lot of the people were saying it was just a couple of midfielders before and you'll be back like the front line and everything. But do you think it's bigger? Do you think you need defensive reinforcements or what?
I feel like we do need a defender, but it's not my priority. Like, it's not like I feel like we need midfielders more than center. Like, I would take Ndiko on a free. Might as well just get him on a free and replace Gomez or Matip. Either one. Like, it's a good signing just on a free. I feel like, but we need midfielders, and people forget last season we played every game possible, and it took a lot of the squad. I'm not using that as an excuse. Poor season, I'm not using, but it took a lot of the squad, and we needed investment, and we didn't get the investment. And I think we did want Matheus Nunes. We just didn't really go for him for some reason. Like we
didn't have the money. We're the net spend kings. We didn't have a spare 50 million. It really is as simple as that.
These owners need to back Klopp this summer, otherwise he is going to call them out. Because he even said in his press conference it's going to be a busy summer, and if you don't give Klopp the money this summer, I think he will call them out. Because he does want money, he needs money, and if he does get the money, I think we are back next season, because with a manager like Klopp, you're going to be back next season if you give him the money. So yeah, with these owners, sadly, we're not going to do anything because they're not going to. Because I'm not worried about this summer. I'm worried about the next summer. Are we going to get that money every summer? Probably not with these owners. So
no, it needs a big investment. Like when we sold Coutinho, obviously people seen us buy Fabinho, Alisson, and Virgil van Dijk. It needs that kind of investment. Yeah. The only problem is we haven't got £150 million Coutinho to sell, and that's the big question on everyone's lips. How are we going to do it? What's Klopp going to have to spend? Are Liverpool ever going to challenge again? But it's a kind of double-edged sword, Trav, because it's not just needing upgrades in midfield. So, you're talking Bellingham, Caicedo, Mason Mount, James Maddison, Mateus Nunes. You've got Keita leaving for free. You've got Oxlade-Chamberlain leaving for free. You've got Milner should be leaving for free. Then you've got the players that are the wrong side of 30, Thiago, Henderson. So it's every way you look at it, it needs major investment. Even if you could even say, let's say we were flying at the top of the league, or at least in the title race, with Henderson nearly 33, Thiago nearly 32, Oxlade-Chamberlain leaving, Milner should be leaving, and Keita leaving, we'd be saying almost exactly the same. Even if we were at the top of the league, we'd be saying, with these leaving and the guys wrong side of 30, we need 100, 150, 200 million. The fact that we're struggling this season,
Klopp has overachieved for a long time, and he's basically like you sort of said, Scott, he's helped these owners out a lot because of his management skill. They've not had to sort of break the bank or spend any more money than what's been necessary. For the last 4 to 5 years, you've competed for the title. Well, the last 3 to 4 years, you've competed for the title toe-to-toe with City, the way you've spent money. The difficulty is, not the difficulty, but the narrative's always been, the sign of a top manager is basically not having the resources that Pep Guardiola has and being able to challenge. But now the narrative is people want Klopp to have those resources, and now it's necessary for him to challenge. So again, it's a difficult one. I think it's just a couple of. I do think you have to invest more than what you have done in terms of a net spend. Like if you want to talk about the net spend itself solely as a thing, you are 14th in the whole league. Like that's not good enough for a club of Liverpool stature alone. It just point blank isn't. Do you know what I mean? Whether the owners are then going to up it and spend 200 million a summer like United and Chelsea and City, that remains to be seen. Like they've not had to do it up to this point because they've had such a top manager. Whether they go and do that this season and the next season remains to be seen. But I do think Klopp deserves that chance, to be given that chance, definitely. I was saying to my mum off stream, like, I think, I'm seeing these players not running. I'm being honest. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm seeing these players like not running 60 minutes. It's as if like similar to the United Liverpool game, we just knew it was over and they just come like, there's no point pressing. What's the point? We're not going to get back into the game anyway. That's what it looked like to me on the pitch today. Like it was just total domination from City from start to finish. It was so easy for them. And they just, the stuffing was just knocked out of them. When that second goal went in, the whole second half just had the same pattern, even when you brought the subs on.
Like, it was only 2-1 though.
I know, that's the worrying thing. Like, this is the worrying thing. Like, I mean, we talk about transfers, like you said, there's still 10 games of the season to go. We know you need reinforcement, but the players that you know are going to be there next season, obviously Alisson, Trent, you would think is going to be there, Robertson, there's still a lot of these players. Mo Salah's probably not going to leave. Gakpo, players that are going to be there, Fabinho, and they're just not giving it this year. That worries me. Do you know what I mean? They're going to be there next year still, no matter if you bring in 4 or 5. He's not going to be able to get rid of 22. But so it's a case of what Klopp can do now to get these players going again. And it might take a signing or 2 or 3 to spark some of these players back into life again. And because that can happen. Do you know what I mean? You sign the right players in the window. Look at us with like the likes of Casemiro coming in and a couple of others, Eriksen, and all of a sudden you start to see Rashford and other players playing well. So it can happen. So I think we just need to give it a little bit of time. It does seem doom and gloom at the moment. It's horrible. But I think we need to be patient and you just need to get to the summer now. You really do. It's been a rotten season for you.
What's good is the first team players actually called the owners out because they said we want signings. So I think that they have to invest, because otherwise, trust me, these players will leave. If they don't invest, I feel that players will leave soon. And like I said, the players calling out the owners is really key, because now, like I said, they have to invest. Otherwise, it's not going to look good for Liverpool next season and the next few years. So if you want to,
Trav, you just said it's doom and gloom. Not for you though. You must be loving this.
No,
the
not for me. Oh, I'm loving it, mate. I was just tasting the sauce. Like, this tastes quite nice today, that Man City sauce. I was like, yeah, they salted that meat overnight.
Isaac's in the comments. He says the one thing that shocked me with Saints, you see in the fight to stay up. It's funny how Liverpool have just gave up. This is a big match. They must be so slow. The leap won't happen straight away. That's exactly what we've just said, Isaac. The fight, it just disappeared. Even at 2-1, even at 3-1. Like I said, if Salah was busting a gut to get to the front post, that could have made it 3-2. It's a game changer. We've just got absolutely zero belief right now. And the confidence must be so low. The morale is so low. And as Trav just alluded to, 2 or 3 big signings, it can give you an extra yard of pace, can't it? It can bring your game up. Like, so let's say Bellingham come in. It could give the likes of Elliott, Fabinho, Henderson, even at his age, it could give them a lift that I'm going to go that extra yard, that extra spring in my step. So it can obviously turn around fast. Of course it can. But yeah, as Isaac just said, it was it was frightening. How
today looked like today looks like you've written the season off already. That it looked like that sort of performance. Like, these last 10 games don't really mean anything. Let's just get to the summer. That's what it looked like. I think from the players, Klopp seemed quite animated at times. The equaliser, he was very animated with Robertson. I noticed that. But again, he just looked like on the side of the pitch, he wasn't really... he just looked defeated. Like today, he just looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him up, and he just thought, oh, this is over. I just can't be bothered anymore. Same with the players. The players just weren't putting it in. And it was just a bad day at the office all around for Liverpool. But we've seen these performances away from home quite a bit this season. Not against the bigger teams as such, but we've seen it where, like I said, you slapped us 7-0, then went to Bournemouth and you dropped a stinker again. Do you know what I mean? Not many chances. Today, again, apart from the goal, I can't remember another real good opportunity apart from the Salah one where he failed to square it in the first half, and he should have found Jota. Really, he had a lot of space to really bend it around Jack Grealish, and Grealish recovered well. But apart from that, you literally just gave nothing in that game. There's nothing a Liverpool fan can take away positively from today at all. Literally nothing whatsoever for me.
Dan, welcome.
I bet
Dan? You are absolutely quaking in your boots about Tuesday night after watching that, aren't you?
Oh, well, it's going to be battle of the mid-table, relegation battle at this point. But no, there's lots of unforced errors in that 90 minutes ahead of us. How are we going, boys? Thanks for
good, mate.
Yeah, thanks for joining, Dan. Dan, Jack Grealish. Are you a fan of Jack Grealish? I think he's absolute pony, but that's the best I've ever seen him play. He rightly got man of the match.
Yeah, I was quite surprised that up to, obviously, Trav just mentioned there that run he made tracking back to stop the ball across from Salah. And they raved about that on the commentary. And up until that point, I thought it'd been dreadful. You know, he miscontrolled a ball out the air awfully. You know, his passes, he wasn't really driving at the defence. He didn't really take anybody on. I thought up until that point, I don't want to say Trent had him in his back pocket, but Trent didn't look particularly phased. And then he just did 2 or 3 things and the game kind of switched. And I agree. I'm not a massive fan of him personally, but he looked exceptional today. He looks like he's starting to gel in that City team and understand that when you play as part of a unit rather than trying to be the big fish in the small pond, you know, it can work for you as well. But Pep obviously takes time, you know, it takes time to fit into any sort of situation, regardless of who you are, whether you're 100 million or, you know, even the backup players that they've got. Julian Alvarez, I think someone touched on it earlier, fits into the team seamlessly now. And it just takes that little bit of time to evolve and adapt to Pep's way. But, you know, you see the elements of Jack, even that run in itself, the tracking back, you know, it's an element of Jack Grealish's game we probably wouldn't have seen at Aston Villa. But you know, he has obviously developed as a player, and hopefully he continues to do so because, you know, in an England shirt, he hasn't really done. I'm not a massive fan of him in an England shirt either. So, you know, hopefully he comes good and starts to bring that that form to the international, the national team as well.
Or is it Trent making another winger look world class, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I you know how I am with Trent, but I don't think you can single him out today. Any other player. I mean, he didn't have the best game, but he didn't have the worst game either. And I think it was a case of, I think he's won. Someone said it before. I think it might have been OB, and I can't remember the way he said it, but he put it excellently. In that it's a lot about he has a lot of ambition, but he's very overly ambitious at times, and then it doesn't work out for him. And he's also got, I don't want to say an ego problem, but his head does seem to drop when it doesn't go right for him. And you can't single him out because that happened with every single one of the Liverpool players today. But obviously, it is noticeable. And when as someone that plays football, when you see the opponent, head go down, you're thinking, right, well, I'm going to go at you now and beat you left, right, and it was just kind of after that 10 minutes in the second half, kind of the pattern was set, and Liverpool had no way of getting back.
Grealish turned into peak Matoma. Harnessed his inner Matoma and turned into
Matoma is quality.
But Trav, you just mentioned about Klopp almost looking defeated on the sideline. Do you think that had a bearing on his subs that he made? I mean, Oxlade-Chamberlain, I love the guy. He must be a great guy. I could just tell he's a great guy. Would be mates if we went for a pint. But as soon as I see him on the pitch now, I just think, oh my God, what is going on? Oxlade-Chamberlain, Milner. He might as well have just thrown an injured Naby Keita on the park just for the cherry on top.
I think he was more trying to make a point of the players that he was unhappy with. I don't think he was bothered who he brought on. Like, I think Robertson had a shocker. Salah weren't great either. And I think he wanted to make a point that I'm angry with a few of you boys. I think he would have ripped that dressing room apart if he's still got any sort of like pride about what happened today. Like, it was just such a bad performance. Like, I was sat here thinking, when am I going to see Liverpool put a spell of 10 minutes together where they're going to put Man City under any pressure? And it just didn't come. Normally you see that with Liverpool teams of late against like Man City. I thought it was going to be quite a high scoring game. My prediction was 3-2. And when Liverpool scored, I thought, do you know what? It's going to be a high scoring game, but it was just so one-sided. I was just disappointed from that perspective in terms of the podcast today. I thought we'd have a real like piece to talk about in terms of Liverpool's attacking threat and stuff, but there was just nothing. It was just mad. I can't believe how much Man City just blitzed you today, and Klopp will be seething. I've not seen the post-match, but if he's got anything, like he will rip. Oh mate, he will be ripping into them players. I'm sure of it. I'm sure he will be.
He must be sick of trying to rip into them. Dalavan, can you pick out any Liverpool player that was our best player at a push?
There was none. I mean, it was, and he needs to call out the players. At least try and put a hint there to call out the players post match, because they deserve it. Like, it's just not good enough. Losing, I expected to lose, not this much though. This was 4-1's just like, usually between these two teams you see a high scoring game. Last season was high scoring. We beat them in Champions League, high scoring. But it just showed the drop-off, really, from last season between these two teams. Like, last season, it was competitive. And, look, if Nunes had started, maybe it would have been different. But, it's still not good enough. And losing 4-1 to any team is really bad. Like, it's just not good enough. So we need to call out. Klopp needs to rip these players up, because it's just not, like, this is more than embarrassing. So I'm glad I'm hoping he bought off Salah and them not to show a statement, because they've hugely missed him, especially Salah, because
I think he was saving him for Chelsea on Tuesday. Look, no one was awesome today. There was a few below par, but you mentioned Nunes didn't start, and that was a big disappointment. Yeah. I must love the guy. I know Dan's a bit split about Darwin Nunes. He's put up a few memes about some of his mistouches. But as soon as I must rate him, because I always look at the team and see if Nunes is playing, I'm like, yes, let's go. If he isn't, I'm like, oh, he's not playing. But his replacement today, Diogo Jota, I thought he was tidy, to be fair. I think in the first half, Diogo Jota was probably our best player, but fitness told in the end. He was a shadow in the second half, and I would have hooked him quite a bit before we did.
He just come back from injury, so like you're not going to see a amazing Jota. And I just wish Nunes started. If Nunes had started, I think we're in a different game because our attack would have been more. Because without Nunes, we're so dead in attack. Like we are literally one man. Well, I won't say one man attack, but we lack creativity without him. His finishing,
absolutely. And it's not. It's when Nunes is flying on the left, it opens up space for Salah on the right because they don't know which side to. And it's obviously. It's the way a team performs as a whole rather than individuals. But yeah, absolutely agree. Let's jump in the comments. Isaac is still with us. I mean, if fighting for top 4 isn't enough to motivate them, then this squad needs a metaphorical whack around the head. They need to wake up and realize what they're fighting for. Absolutely. We're down tools. Let's be honest. And there's still a quarter of the season to go or more. I think it's 11 games still to go.
What I will say, though, is like, before we go into the next comment, I would say all it takes, you know what, you realize that all it takes is 2 players or 3 players and it boosts the squad. So if we can get Jude Bellingham in, if we can get Mason, well, depending on if I want Mason Mount or not, the price is 70 million. I do not want to pay that for a player that's out of his contract. But I feel like
Daniel, drive him up to Anfield, mate. Drive him straight up to Melwood, mate.
I want at least 40 million. I don't even pay 40 million for him only.
Isaac says, just be glad you don't have Maguire, who thinks he deserves to start over Martinez. I'd rather Trent, to be honest. Absolutely. Maguire is the worst Premier League player to ever earn a wage. I've got that documented. I've had it in a meme. I've had it in a short. He's horrendous. Dan, 70 million Mason Mount. You drive him to Anfield personally, wouldn't you?
I'd take 40, 50 for Mount at the moment. I'm not. I love Mason Mount. Great servant to the club. Very, very grateful for what he's done over the last few years. But I'm reaching that make or break point that it has in the past with players like Ruben Loftus-Cheek, where we've been reluctant to let them go because of the potential of what they could be, and then it never really has come to fruition. Mason Mount, I don't think I want to put in the same category in terms of the talent and his work ethic. I think that is superb, and you can't really question that. But at the same time, he hasn't been putting in the performances in this Chelsea team. And when we got a squad the size of 26, 27 players when they're fully fit, there's not enough space in this squad for players that are consistently performing under par. So if the right offer came in for him, I think now would be the right time rather than burn him out, maybe get 20, 30 mil in a season or two or use him as a squad player. Because, we've at the end of the day, we've got to sell some of these players. Otherwise, FF are going to be on our case heavy. And I can't see us selling many players, in that first team or recent players that we bought in like Mudryk, Enzo. I can't see us cashing in on them anytime soon. So it's going to have to be some of the players that have come up from the academy or have established themselves.
I think Mason Mount would fit us, but I think we may need. I think he would really do good, but the price too much. If we're going to get Mason Mount, probably like 50, 40 million I would pay because he's.
I think Mount under Klopp at 40, 50 million could be a steal. He don't get me wrong, he has a lot of potential still, Mason Mount. I think he's, Chelsea fans have touted him as a future Chelsea captain. He still loves the club. He still, goes to behind doors games, watches the players in training, and he went to support N'Golo Kante on his first game back. Small things like that show you that he is very invested in, that he is very, very passionate, and that he obviously is still, working every day. It's not an attitude problem. So if I don't know whether Jurgen Klopp would still be there. If Liverpool have a poor season, there is a chance that, I'll pose that to you guys. Is there a chance?
Mate, I've said this and I got hammered for it. I said this. I agree with you.
If he has a bad season, if Liverpool finished below Chelsea and Chelsea are calling for Potter out, I don't see why there wouldn't be questions raised. But
I'm going to stay out of this one. I'm going to let you boys slam that one out, mate.
How do I mute Trav on this? I
might mute myself and just get the popcorn, lads.
The Klopp out thing, right? I don't mind Klopp if he has a bad season, but I don't trust FSG to find the right replacement. That's my only problem here. Because they're probably gonna...
he's not leaving anyway.
Yeah,
Dan, he's not leaving.
No,
He's
he's
got
not
enough
leaving.
in the bank.
Dalabel,
okay?
you speak your mind, mate. Don't let Scott bully
not only that, not only having enough in the bank from winning the league, winning everything, in fact, the Champions League, everything, we need to give him some money to spend.
No,
we need to give him some money to spend and then judge him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
let him spend 150, 200 million,
I'll
and if we have another bad season.
I'll judge Klopp after next season because I think this season's been poor, but next season's the deciding factor. If he gets the money, I don't know if he'll get the money. That's another concern I have going into the summer. So if Klopp has a bad season next year and we spend, then I'll be Klopp out. But nah.
So let's say he doesn't get 200 million and you have another poor season, like up until Christmas, for example. You're not in the title race again. When does the time come when you start questioning him? Like at what point?
Never. I want him to walk. If he doesn't get backed, I want him to walk with his head held high.
I want his legacy actually good, because if he gets sacked, his legacy just it won't be looked at. Because if he walks, and then that's a statement sent to FSG and the whole world about Liverpool not backing him. But I think he will get back this summer. But for me to be Klopp out, we need to have a bad season next season and spend. But I don't see us spending next season. But you never know. I mean, I'm hoping FSG actually back Klopp. And if you
let's move away from this Klopp out, right? Because it's not happening. Dan,
it was a hypothetical anyway. But yeah, look, Mason Mount under Klopp.
Yeah,
I think he
answer
could.
Answer me, Dan.
For a good
where does Mason Mount play in a Klopp 4-3-3? Where's his best position?
We need to change system.
On the right side of midfield, not in the front three. He's in the midfield. Yeah. He's industrial.
Like if we get Mason Mount, we may change system next season though. I think I could see us doing that. 4-2-3-1 potentially. Getting Mason Mount for that, so you can play behind Nunez or Gakpo or someone like that, or because
I'd be very surprised if Klopp changes system. He hasn't done it yet, has he?
Yeah, no. But I think that would be one scenario where Mason Mount would fit perfectly. But I don't mind Mason Mount for a good price. If it's 70 million, we just wasted half and that's probably the money we're going to spend on Jude anyway. So that's basically our money gone for Jude. So look, but I want to ask this question: would you rather spend it on other players than Jude? Because it's one of those ones where if we just get Jude and that's our main priority, then I don't mind going for other options, because there are midfielders out there. There are loads for a decent price, cheap prices. There are.
Dan,
what do you think, Scott? You answer that, or Dan? What do you two think?
Dan, what are you saying about Mason Mount? Where does he play for Klopp in that midfield three? So he is a serious midfield option for us then, because I don't even know where he plays, if he's in the three or the front three.
Yeah, he's been tried, and I think Tuchel was the one that started using him on the wide right and the wide left. But he does it. He's not fast enough for me. Particularly in the way Liverpool play in the transition and the counter attack, you need three quick wingers up there. Two quick wingers and a quick striker. And Mason Mount just doesn't fit into that category. I think he is more of a workhorse. I don't really know. He's one of those players where I'd like to say, give him the creative, or give him the freedom, give him the 10 position, let him float, let him go where he needs to go, kind of like a Hazard role in Chelsea. That was where we saw him kind of 2-3 years ago. But now I think you've got to give him a little bit more restraint and a little bit more he's got to be a bit more disciplined. You've got to have someone alongside him to keep him in that position, because he does have a tendency, although he is great at pressing and up in the tempo, he does have a tendency to get sucked out of position, to lose himself. And then when, you do get hit on a counter attack, he is often left up there. He's not the best defensively as well. So I definitely wouldn't put him in a 2, a double 6, or I wouldn't put him in the base of that centre midfield. But I think with someone behind him, he's always had like Kante behind him or Jorginho. So with someone behind him in centre midfield, I think he's a very, very good option. And if that centre midfielder was Jude, even if Jude played, Jude could play 6, 8, Jude could play wherever he wants. But, if he had someone behind him, I think Mason Mount under Jurgen Klopp would be very, very good.
I thought, what I imagine the scenario is Mount uses a PR not to sign anyone bigger, but to sign Jude Bellingham, because I do see that scenario where we get Mount for 70 million and then we don't get Bellingham because of that's used as a PR or as excuse.
No. No one will come in until Jude Bellingham has decided where he's going. It's going to be full throttle for Bellingham.
Like Fabrizio and Post, I think yesterday about Mount, it's going to be quite hard to sell him for a price of 70 million. And I think we can lower that price down. I think we can, but I'm not sure if Chelsea would sell to Liverpool. I mean, Chelsea selling to Liverpool would kind of be a mistake because if he cooks under Klopp, then that would be. But there are some players which don't fit any clubs. They fit under clubs. So it's some players fit clubs where where it suits players. So
yeah, we'll have to see.
It's going to be it'll be full throttle for Jude Bellingham. Once Jude Bellingham's decide where he's going, hopefully that's Liverpool. I'm crossing my fingers, my toes, my legs, anything I can cross. Then it's going to be like after that. Obviously, if Jude Bellingham doesn't choose Liverpool, hopefully we're going to have some funds to free up and be in the market for a James Maddison, a Mason Mount. Mateus Nunes has been heavily linked, but I'm seeing him get quite a bit of stick on Twitter. No one fancies him, and he's not getting in the Wolves side at the minute.
It's too late. Like we should have signed him last summer. It's too late for me now. Yeah. There's no point really signing him.
Dan,
sorry, Scott? What do you think of Caicedo?
Oh yeah, I'd take him. I'd take him all day long. I was really upset when it looked like he was going to Arsenal on deadline day in January. I was really upset. I want him. He's the right profile, the right age, the right temperament. He would fit Liverpool so well. And if there is going to be a formation change, which I've even ventured the idea on this podcast, if it does go to 4-2-3-1, Caicedo and Bellingham in that too, with Gakpo, Salah, Luis Diaz, and Nunes up top. Them front six when we're absolutely cooking.
But Caicedo, I think Brighton will be hard. Brighton are very good negotiators. They're hard to get because they're going to ask for like 100 million.
Yeah, he's not going to Liverpool. He's like you say, he's going to be too expensive.
I think he signed a new contract as well, so that makes it even harder signing him up. But I think Matoma is going to be one to watch out for in this summer because he could leave. To be honest, I could see Matoma leaving. To be honest.
Isaac's in the comments. He says, by the way, Chelsea fans need to wait with Potter. First couple of seasons, they were pretty terrible with Brighton. You are just too knee-jerk. You gave Potter 10 games before calling him out. Not fair. Dan, do you want to respond to that? I know you put Potter out on a post-it note.
If he was awful at Brighton for a couple of seasons, then what in God's green earth is he doing at Chelsea, Champions League club?
I mean, for a statue of Chelsea, I don't think Chelsea
is a good manager out of his depth. I mean, obviously too expensive to sack him now, but so give it to the end of the season. But I mean, unless he gets top 4 and/or wins the Champions League, I'm not sold.
For Chelsea standards, I don't think Chelsea has to wait 2 seasons for him to sell. For a statue of Chelsea Football Club, they shouldn't be waiting 2 seasons. And I think their fans are like spoiled with success. They're used to success straight away. It's just like they're not getting the success straight away. But I think Graham Potter will become good, but waiting 2 seasons is like, it's a big wait for Chelsea fans because Chelsea are a big club. They shouldn't be waiting 2 seasons for success. So,
is that based on the money? Is that based on the money that they spent then, or?
I mean, they've had spent loads of money. To be fair, I mean, they spent 600 million in January, so I think you should be expecting more. But I feel like let's see what you do versus Madrid. I want to see what you guys do versus Madrid. That's a test for me. That's where Chelsea will be, because if you can, because I think you guys can knock out Madrid. It's just it'll be hard because they have the mentality with. Their mentality in Champions League is too good, man. We've experienced that. It was painful, but their experience is so good in the Champions League, man. It's going to be quite hard.
Chelsea and Graham Potter are not winning the Champions League.
Yeah,
Sorry, Dan. Sorry, Dan, but they're not. It would defy all logic.
I don't see it.
Anyway, back to Man City, Liverpool. Trav, are you angry that this Liverpool didn't turn up at Anfield against Man United? Because we blow so hot and so cold. What is going on?
I'm fuming. I sent a tweet. I was like, how did we hold 7 to these? Like, it just killed me, mate, to be fair. But like you said, you got to give credit to Manchester City. The way they took the game to you today, they just didn't give you a chance. And Man City, we've seen that. They did that to us earlier in the season. I think sometimes the scoreline can just cloud the way that you think the game's gone. It was a battering from start to finish today.
They took the foot off the pedal, if anything, didn't they? Could have been.
Yeah. Like, forget the score. I think the scoreline was probably the best thing for Liverpool, really, because like you said, it could have been 7 or 8, really, if they really wanted to. I think they could have really twisted the knife like you did to us with the 7-0. So yeah, I'm gutted that Liverpool didn't turn up against Man United, to be fair, because we would have stood a chance in the game. But I just think for Liverpool going forward now, with the Chelsea game coming up and the Arsenal game coming up, I think now that puts huge pressure on Liverpool, because the fans are going to be thinking, well, what's left for this season? Do you know what I mean? I think there was a little bit of outside optimism that Liverpool could still make the top 4. If you didn't get beat today, you go and beat Chelsea, and then you go and do something against Arsenal. In hindsight, again, the fans would have been on side. The fans would have been buzzing going into those final 8-7 games. But I just think now that the way you got beat against the team that you've been going toe-to-toe with for the last 3 years has really knocked the stuffing out of the season.
Now
I
we
think
need now Chelsea can just play with freedom versus us, because Chelsea don't have to fight for anything this season, pretty much. I mean, maybe Conference League. Chelsea won Conference League. But they Chelsea, no pressure. So
if we win today, we're 1 point behind you.
This is what I'm saying.
Oh no! Wait, you're only 1 point. Oh,
yeah,
no.
if we win today,
This is what I'm
saying.
Only 1 point. Oh my god. Okay, so maybe it's a battle of.
And then Tuesday night, if Chelsea tuck us in Tuesday night, the next minute Chelsea are having the worst season out of anyone, could all of a sudden be back in the hunt for top 4. Because if we're in for the top 4, then Chelsea are.
I mean, look, but I think I could see it's gonna be. I mean, it's at the Bridge on a night, and they're gonna be up for it, Chelsea. So we need to win that, and we need to beat Arsenal and Chelsea now. We need to, and I think the Man City thing, right? They're just so unstoppable. When they play out that, you just can't stop it. Like that's just truth. Like with their money they spent, and people say the money they spent, but Alvarez was brilliant today, and Man City are just unstoppable when they like this. They play like this, and you just can't stop them. No team can. So.
Let's keep it specific to this game. My brother-in-law's just joined. Sean James, how you doing, Sean? You okay, mate? Man City simply too good today. Don't think any team would have picked up a point there today. Absolutely. Yeah. We always talk about the business end of the season. As soon as you hit April, you know it's getting serious. Arsenal are going to have watched that today, and it looks like Man City are pairing now, and they're just going to kick on. Dan, could you see them winning the last 10 games of the season, keeping in mind one of them's against Arsenal?
Yeah, 100%. I've always said that as long as Man City stay behind Arsenal, they're going to be in the driving seat, because they are the sort of team that has the mentalities to say, you go do your thing, we're going to suit up for the big occasion. And they like putting the pressure on. I feel like I'd be more inclined to say no if they were ahead, and more inclined to say that Arsenal had more of a chance to catch them up. But I just think in terms of mentality of the two teams, you look at, the age difference in the squads alone. Arsenal's age, average age is so young. They have so many young players who are, no question about their talent. But like you said, it's the business end of the Premier League, and it's different. The cliche, there are no easy games. The next 10 games are all 6-pointers. And there will be teams at the bottom of the league and, 13, 14 that don't really have anything to play for, but will go out there and give everything they have just because it's an opportunity to stop someone winning the league, or, we've
been in the title race to see, and I think we were 8 points clear at one stage. I forgot when season, and they caught up. So I feel like Man City, they have the capability of going a 10-game run, and I can't see Arsenal winning all their games. So I still think
let's just say as well, today was a demolition. And Erling Haaland wasn't in the squad.
It's scary, isn't it? Scary.
I think we need to big up Alvarez, man, because everyone was talking about Haaland out, and no one really was talking about Alvarez. And Alvarez, man, what a player, World Cup winner, and what a player he is, man. It's just
in the preview, Dalivar, we did highlight him. We did say he was a special talent, and he's just unlucky that he's got such a robot in front of him, to be honest. Because, honestly, he would be starting in most other teams in and around the top 6 without a shadow of a doubt. But that's why Man City are so strong, because they've got that strength and depth. Do you know what I mean? If Haaland's out, it just doesn't matter. They play the same way. I think every single outfield player for City could play in any position on the pitch. Even Edison was a joke today, just spraying it around. It was just ridiculous, some of the things I was seeing. Honestly, I think Edison could play outfield. He's that good on the ball. It's just scary, the depth of their squad. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting tussle. I've not seen the 3:00 scores. I don't know if Arsenal are ahead at the minute. But I think Arsenal just need to focus now on just not even watching City. Like you said, City are getting ahead of steam now. But with the Champions League being in there, and that's the one that still eluded Pep at Manchester City, that might be the little carrot that dangles, that distracts them. and they drop a few silly points that you don't expect them to do. But yeah, like you said, they are purring
they
at
have
the
the
minute, and
depth
it's
of,
ominous
like,
signs.
they have the depth to win both Champions League and the Premier League. If they want to win both, they can win both. So
They can, yeah, whether they
it's
do
just
or not.
like,
They've always had the depth to win both,
Yeah.
though, and they've never actually done that.
it's just
So
about, I feel like I think if they got the Champions League, or mentally affect Man City, it probably will, and that's where the key factor is. It depends if they got the Champions League. If City got the Champions League, their mentality will be affected. It'll be, and I think if City go through the final, continue going their way in the Champions League, I think they will win the league. And I still think, I say Arsenal win the league. I think Arsenal win it, but it's not, this performance has just showed why you can never write City off. This performance just shows you can never
I don't think anyone's written City off, have they? No one's stupid enough to, but I've been quite critical of City in the last couple of months that they've been dropping points in weird games.
Yeah.
And I've been saying when it was Liverpool going for the league, they were relentless like this machine. And now that Arsenal are going for it, it feels like they're not the same machine. But that performance today was the Man City that I know, especially from the last 4 or 5 years, going toe-to-toe with Liverpool. But Dan, do you think Haaland will be looking at that? I think, can everyone agree that Man City looked a better side today, probably the best they've played all season, and Haaland's not even in the squad? Are they one-dimensional with Haaland?
I think it's because it's a different type of player. And I think Alvarez definitely suits the system of, one-touch football, passing between the lines, those slick 1-2s. I think he definitely fits that a lot better. But I don't necessarily think it's more effective. It's just a different type of effectiveness. Yeah. I think I think Pep's swan song will be finding a way to make them work together. Alvarez and Haaland up front is a terrifying prospect. And obviously shout out to Jose as well, because he loves Alvarez and prefers Alvarez to Haaland. So the thought of them, popping in 25, 30 goals each a season together is, you're looking at, Rooney and Van Persie, those sort of, Henry and Bergkamp, those sort of partnerships that could be there, because they're both Haaland's 22, Alvarez can only be 21, 20 as well. So they've both got 10 years in them. Yeah.
And I think
keep them playing at the top level, but keep them both happy as well. That's the main thing. With obviously the quality in City's team is the important thing, is keeping all these stars happy, giving them the game time that they need. And
I think, I don't think Haaland will leave City soon. I think he'll go to Madrid. But if Haaland leaves, I wouldn't be worried for City, because they have Alvarez. So, and I think Alvarez is better than Haaland as an overall player. But I think Haaland just edges it because, of course, his quality and his finishing's quality. So, but I think overall as a player, Alvarez is better, to be honest. But I don't agree with the one. I think Haaland, even with Haaland, there's still quality. So I don't think they're one dimensional with Haaland. It's just he's there to tap it in. I know that's how City is so good, man. They're just so good without Haaland and with Haaland. Just today showed it as well.
There's probably no surprise that Grealish and Mahrez were both so effective today, playing with Alvarez in the middle, because Mahrez was almost as good as Grealish on the right-hand side. That front three, they put us to the sword, basically.
Yeah, I think when Haaland plays, Kevin De Bruyne is so important for City, because they've sort of got this like telepathic understanding. Like with Haaland, he just plays so differently to Alvarez. He's just on the shoulder so much more. He wants to spin in behind because he's absolutely rapid. He just wants to go in behind all the time. Like Dan said, Alvarez is more of a link-up forward. He can still go in behind, he can, but he's very good with his back to goal as well. He gets in little pockets of space. He's so different to Haaland as a player, but like you said, equally as effective in terms of the output for City. Whether they, like with Haaland, they can just toss crosses in from anywhere, and you know he's just going to bully someone. Do you know what I mean? It was just a different way of attacking today, but it was equally as effective. Liverpool couldn't really cope with it. I just think from a tactical perspective, again, I alluded to it at the start of the stream, the pockets of space that Gundogan, De Bruyne and Grealish got into, just the Liverpool just didn't have the intensity to cope with that in midfield. Yeah. And like you said, the centre halves, Van Dijk and Konate, they must have just been thinking, who do I mark? Do you know what I mean? There's always about 2-3 players around me all the time. Like it was just so unfair. Like it's just so difficult to like go in on Liverpool players in terms of from the tactical element, because I think Pep just really did outsmart Klopp today with that tactical approach. But it's still no excuse for the Liverpool players in terms of the amount of effort that they put in today. I think.
Chelsea having their worst season in decades, and they could be 1 point behind us. That just shows how bad we are. And I feel like my worry has just shown. My worry is the midfield. Before the game, the midfield was looking weak, and all it took, Man City just outrun our midfield, and that's why we need a midfield. We need a rebuild in that midfield this summer, man. If we don't get the funding, it's be a long old season next season. Otherwise, we're done for. We are done for. So we need to
absolutely.
rebuild in that midfield.
Let's end on that note that we are dead without midfield reinforcements. Dan, Dalaval, Travis, let's end it there. I'm going to drown my sorrows. We're going to be back tomorrow. If anyone's made it this far, do not forget to smash the like. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button if you've liked what you've heard. Don't forget to subscribe to my man Dan from Two Blues down below. Fantastic channel. I watch every minute of every video of his. We're going to be back tomorrow, 7:30 for Man United, Newcastle. And me and Dan will probably do Tuesday night, Chelsea, Liverpool. I've just put him on the spot there. I haven't even asked him yet.
It depends. Yeah, that how it depends how it goes. win or draw, I'm there, but
I mean,
Right.
if you beat us, then
I'm definitely there. No question. I'll be the only one of them. I'll host if we win. Don't worry. I'll let you tell.
I swear, imagine they beat us and they're above us somehow.
Don't even say it. Don't jinx it.
I don't want to. I think hopefully we beat them, but I don't know if what Liverpool turn up. The old Liverpool turn up.
Exactly. Dalaval, this is your debut on my channel as well. So thank you ever so much for joining.
Thank you.
Lads, have a fantastic weekend, and we'll obviously see everyone on the next one. Cheers, lads.
Cheers.
Header. But Gerrard! Oh, you beauty! What a head, son!